All right, guys. Well, it's a huge pleasure to introduce the next guest. He defied the odds and won a massive fight on the main card of UFC 205. He has just touched down back in Melbourne yesterday and is gracious enough to give us a moment of his time and, of course, break away from the massive Dad's Army party that we're sure is going on right now. The multiple-time Olympian and now UFC middleweight winner from this past weekend, Dan Kelly. Welcome back to Submission Radio.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. That was a nice little intro.
Yeah, we spent some time working on it. You know, we didn't write any questions for the other guests. Maybe some of the other interviews from this week are going to be a bit lackluster. But at least you got the good intro, so it's all worth it.
Yeah, we got the better of 2 a.m. last night, right on that intro. But no, seriously, it's a huge honor to have you on the program after such a massive win. And like Dennis mentioned, you landed back in Melbourne just yesterday, but you must still be on quite the high from the amazing weekend you had in Vegas. Tell us, what have the last 24 hours been like for you, Dan?
Oh, good. I've, as normal, just got home, ran a kids class last night. We had, which has become a bit of a tradition now. We had beer and pizza here at the gym, and then I was back here running a class this morning, a judo class, and I've just been tidying up and cleaning up the gym and, getting caught up on all that stuff. So it's there's no rest for the wicked, unfortunately.
One of the disappointing things about that, of course, is, Dan, you had beer and pizza once, didn't invite us. That's okay, understandable. Second time you have beer and pizza, no invitation to the boys to come down and bring a couple of beers, maybe even a couple more pizzas for everybody. What happened? How did you make this crucial mistake?
I'm very, very sorry, but I was very sad that you guys didn't make the effort to come over to 209. I was really keen for you guys to be there.
Yeah, touche.
Well, your fight was late. You had a late fight announcement. If we knew ahead of time, forget about any of the other fights. We would have been there just so you would have had to do 5 interviews with us on the media day. Would have just stocked them up for the future. So now, Dan, you're fighting Anderson Silva. Oh, so now, Dan, you're fighting blah, blah, blah. Just really get them all in there for the future so we don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah, no, that would have been awesome. That would have been really good.
Well, obviously, it's not just a huge moment for Australia, as it was here, but it's also for your family. What was the wife's reaction like when you finally spoke to her after you win?
Oh, very happy, very relieved. She was happy because she thinks I was very, very smart and clever in that fight. So she was really, really happy.
Does she not always think you're smart and clever in your fights? What's going on, Dan?
No, she does. I think she thinks sometimes I just walk forward and get punched in the face, but she thought I was very clever in this fight. So it was good.
Oh, good. And I mean, obviously, you've got your wonderful kids and they must be so proud. We know you don't let them watch the fights, but what was their reaction when they found out that you won? And do they realize how much of a massive deal Dad is at the moment?
They're wrapped. We actually, because there wasn't as much blood this fight, my wife let them watch the fight after the fact, so they watched the replay of it. They're happy. They're happy. I don't think I'm that big of a deal, but we're just going on as life as normal. We've got swimming tonight. We've got soccer practice tonight, so it's just back to normal routine, which is the best.
Wow. Did you watch the fight with them by any chance? And I'm curious what they actually said to you, because as we know, you generally don't let them watch the fight, so this would have been a rarity. What did they say after they watched the fight?
Well, I didn't watch with them. Maria made that decision while I was away. Oh, they were happy. They were very, very happy, and because it wasn't too bloody or anything, they were fine. So yeah, no. Eric, my oldest son, he's like, Dad's a legend now because he beat a legend, so now he's a legend. So that was very, very nice. But they were happy. They were really happy, and they're just happy that I'm home again. So because we're away for about 10 days.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're not far off the truth. Now, I feel like we're asking you this almost every fight now, because almost every fight you're defying the odds and having amazing moments. But, I mean, you've had amazing moments in your judo career. You've been in multiple Olympics. But beating a superstar like Rashad Evans in Vegas, of all places, on a main card of a UFC pay-per-view, and arguably a fight that, kind of stood out as a fight that a lot of people were looking forward to. Where does this win rank for you in all the moments that you've had in the big wins of your career in judo and MMA?
No, this was one of the big ones. This was one of the really, really big ones. So, in judo, I said in a post-fight interview thing that I did that in judo I beat some world and Olympic medalists and got close to winning a medal myself, but never quite got there. And beating guys like Rashad and starting to move up, kind of washing away some of the, not regret, but some of the disappointment I didn't quite get a world or Olympic medal. This is starting to push that away, and as I'm progressing along, so it's like a new life for me. So it's this was a really big one because it was under a bit of pressure that I put on myself on a massive card, People again didn't expect me to win really, and so yeah, massive win.
That's pretty touching that you say that it can wash away some of the disappointment. Did you ever think that would happen in your MMA career when you started this? Did you think that you were ever going to come to any, I guess, conclusions like that, or feel or the MMA would change the way you feel about your judo career?
No, not at all. And it wasn't until I was very nervous for this fight. It wasn't until the last few weeks that I started speaking to my wife and some of my corner about these kind of feelings, because I was going, why am I so nervous? And, you internalise it a little bit and just had a chat to them about it. And, this is like a fresh chance to take hold of some opportunities and really wring their necks kind of thing. And yeah, so, well, it was interesting. It's all a new process and learning new stuff about yourself, which is good as an athlete, I suppose.
And I'm just wondering, you mentioned the nerves. How different was it being in Vegas and sort of being away from the family? Because normally when you're local, you've got the family with you, obviously fighting in Melbourne, everything's just around the corner. How tough was that going over to another country and not having sort of that support system, or was that part of the nerves?
No, a little bit. I don't enjoy traveling as much as I used to, but I mean, I've traveled so much for judo and competitions all over the world for that was okay. It was more the opponent as well. I mean, that's a massive name that I was fighting, and even when he was coming into the cage, I'm like, well, that's Rashad Evans over there. So it was opponent based as well. So, and also you got your normal things of, am I at this level? Can I do it? Do I belong in the like the upper ranks and all that kind of stuff? So yeah, it's just all internalized self-pressure, really.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you about that. I really noticed that moment when you were walking out and you sort of had a bit of a look around the arena. To me, it kind of looked like there was a moment when you were walking to the octagon and when Rashad was coming in where it all sort of clicked in your head like, all right, this is actually happening and I'm actually here and this is about to go down. But was I right? What was it like? What was going on in your head as you were walking out there? Because it was a scene, man. I'm not going to lie. It was a scene.
Yeah, well, it was. Some of my students and friends are like, "You look like you're going to a funeral." I was very nervous, but you know what? Luckily, I managed to pull myself together very, very quickly. And at the end of the day, once the cage shuts and there's the first couple of minutes of the fight are over, and what else is there to do other than fight? So it was fine.
You know what's awesome? Obviously seeing the contrast between you walking to the cage and then seeing your face when the decision was read out. I mean, it was just, you were in ecstasy. And in our breakdown, we even used that image of you having a hand raised as the thumbnail because it was so good. And, a good win for you, unfortunately, means a loss for Rashad. But, we were really impressed with the way Rashad, dealt with the loss and the defeat. Did you have a chance to speak to him at all afterwards? And I'm just wondering, how did that conversation go if you saw him?
No, only in the octagon, straight after the fight before the decision. And he was very nice. And I just said, regardless of the result, thanks for the opportunity. And he was very nice. He said, yeah, sorry about your shorts. And, yeah, you were tough. I knew you were going to be tough. That's why I wanted the fight kind of thing. But then obviously he's very upset that he lost. But in his social media, he was very gracious. He wasn't derogatory at all. So, I mean, look, if you're in the ring together, it was a close fight. I think I definitely won it, which the judges did as well. And he hasn't said I won that fight or this or that. So he had, it was nice.
That is really classy. And that's really nice of him to apologize about the shorts immediately after, knowing that, if it was me and I was fighting, I'd be worried about the decision, not so much about your shorts. So that's really nice of him. Just curious, what exactly happened there? Because it was a weird moment. He went for a takedown and then 2 seconds later, your shorts are completely ripped. What exactly happened there?
He went for a takedown and he grabbed my shorts and I sprawled and pushed my hips away and he didn't let go of my shorts and the shorts tore. So that was all it was. Apparently, Big John said that if he had completed the takedown with the shorts, ripping the shorts and that, he would have lost the point. But because I stuffed the takedown, nothing happened.
Wow.
So that's an interesting rule. But yeah, all's well that ends well. And I mean, I keep my shorts, keep the shorts of every fight I've had in the UFC. So it's just another pair of shorts with another story now. So
nice.
It's good.
And there's fighters all over the world now writing that down. If he grabs my shorts, let him get the takedown. I can just imagine someone doing that and not getting a point deduct and being like, Dan, I thought you said the points.
Yeah.
So don't go ahead and do that. Let's quickly talk about the fight I mean, Rashad Evans, a great legend, a champion, a huge star in the sport. But talk to us about what it was like actually being in the octagon with Rashad compared to what you thought it may be like. Did anything surprise you about what it was actually like?
No, he didn't. To be honest, he didn't hit as hard as I thought he would, which was good. And everything else was pretty much as I expected. I implemented my game plan pretty much how I wanted. I would have liked to have taken him down, but man, he was like a cat. No, I chop his legs down, he'd land on his front, and then he'd be springing straight back up, and I swept his feet out, and he landed on his bum, and he jumped straight back up. Like, he was really athletic. He also very flexible. I caught one of his high kicks and thought, oh, beautiful, I'm going to take him down, get him down now. He managed to squirm out of that. So he's super athletic, like super, super athletic. So that was even more so than I thought. But yeah, no, that were the main things. He didn't hit as hard, and he was harder to put on his back than I'd hoped he'd be.
I mean, we saw huge improvements across the board in your striking and your hand fighting. Just curious, what was the game plan and how close did you sort of get to perfectly executing it in this fight this past weekend?
Everything was perfect except for the fact I didn't finish the takedown. Like, I planned a hand fight. He always hand fights. If you watch his fight against Little Nog as well, he's constantly tapping that front hand. If I can slide my foot out to the side, at the outside of his foot, it's hard for him to take me down, and obviously then it's a battle between my cross and his cross. And the foot trip actually worked a lot better than I imagined it would. So that was handy because I really unsettled him with sweeping his foot all the time.
Yeah, it was interesting, and I mean, it was a great game plan. I think we are going to quickly put the spotlight onto your coaches. Talk to us a little bit about who really prepared you for this fight, some of the guys that you were sparring with, and the guys that sort of helped you formulate the strategy, because it was a great strategy that ended up working out well.
Yeah, it does. I mean, all the best laid plans are fine beforehand until you actually get in there. But I mean, Andrew Colgrave, Brett Franklin do all my striking stuff. And especially I was a lot lower this time. And I think I was a little bit more mobile than normal. And obviously Gustavo Falciori and Callan Potter, I took over there as well. They were really good. In just being able to implement my plan. I mean, I know I got called a zombie in the cage by the commentary, but I think I was a little bit more technically savvy than I normally am, and a little bit more tricky than I normally am with linking everything together. So yeah, my coaches are awesome. We always come up with a good plan. It just shows we can do it all from down here in Melbourne.
Yeah, for sure. There's so many great people to train with. And just quickly on that Star, I mean, some people were calling you a zombie, but to me what it looks like is you're almost developing your own, I suppose, striking style. You've taken a lot of, obviously, the great stuff from boxing and Muay Thai and stuff like that, but there's also sort of an element to your striking that opponents don't really know how to deal with. Do you sort of feel like you're almost becoming a Dominic Cruz in a way where you've got your own Dan Kelly style of striking going on? Your K1 Dan Kelly with a little bit of salt and pepper on top.
I don't think I'll ever be as smooth or fancy as Dominic Cruz, but I think people do have a little bit of trouble. They from the outside watching, they go, this guy will be easy to hit and easy to finish, and I think they get in there and they go, well, hang on a sec, this isn't as smooth sailing and easy as I thought it would be, which is perfectly fine for me. Because they keep overanalyzing or just brushing it aside, going, "Oh, look, he's easy to hit. He's always there. It's perfectly fine for me."
And it's pretty much exactly what you predicted before the fight. So it's amazing to see that that's exactly what came to fruition. You mentioned before about how you were so nervous going to this fight, and you were questioning, whether you had it, whether you were good enough. And, I mean, we asked you this before your last fight with Kamosi, but how much confidence does this win give you in terms of where you stand in the division? Now that you have conquered Rashad, does that go away, those questions of doubt?
No, they never go away because, I mean, then you'd be too complacent. I think I deserve a ranked opponent for my next fight. There's no question now. You can't win 4 in a row and then beat someone like Rashad and even Chris Kamosi to fight before, and Shoeface, and not be knocking on the door of fighting someone in the top 15. And I now think that I can fight almost anyone if I've got time to prepare and train for the fight. I mean, it's good. It's a good place to be. It's a very good place to be. I don't think the nerves will ever go. I've always suffered with nerves before competition, but it just means that we can go, yep, if we do everything how we're supposed to, I've got a chance at winning the fight. Because anything can happen in the fight game. I could get flash knocked out in my next fight. I mean, it's possible I get knocked out by Sam Alvey, but if we prepare properly and everything goes how it should, then I can win the fight.
Yeah, and a big fight is what people are expecting next. While we're still talking about UFC 209, tell us, what was it like being Dan Kelly post-fight after your big win? Did you notice more fans sort of spotting you in the hotel? Did you have any conversations with Dana White or Joe Rogan? Because in a lot of ways, before the fight, it seemed like not that many people knew who you were. But after the fight, Dan Kelly was the hot kid on the block and everybody wanted a piece of him.
Still haven't spoken to Dana any other times other than shaking hands at media things or at weigh-ins. I had a chat with Mick Maynard, which was good because I'd spoken to him on the phone a few times, but now I've actually met him. Joe Rogan, no. Look, before the fight, it was actually different this time. A few more trainers, a few more fighters knew who I was. Oh, you're that Judo Aussie guy. They were much more friendly than they were like the last time I went away. But yeah, not so much. Afterwards, we went to an Irish pub that was in the hotel we were staying in, had a few drinks, and I was really tired, to be honest, and went to bed. Not that I could sleep very well, but went to bed about 3 a.m. So it wasn't a massive night for me. I'm getting a little bit too old for that stuff.
So people weren't throwing underwear and bras at you trying to get the autograph. I reckon a good moment, Dan, was when you were doing the post-fight interview with Joe Rogan and he asked you about that knee brace. What did you think about that? Because that was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, it was funny.
This is the first time Joe Rogan had ever seen you, obviously.
Yeah, well, that's the second time he's interviewed me. He interviewed me after the Rousey home fight when I fought on that card against Steve Montgomery. So he interviewed me once before, but yeah, they can do whatever they like. What they don't understand is the knee's fine. If I'm taped, I can do everything, and it gets through all the training load. So if people want to target it next fight, good luck to them. It's no different from the other knee when it's all taped up.
It's funny though how Joe asked you, like, oh, what's going on with this knee? And like, is this new? And you're like, yeah, it happened in 2006. And it's been... I think
exactly.
I think that was my favorite moment. Yeah, I mean, well, you mentioned the body. I'm just wondering, how did you come away with this fight? Because while it looked like a great performance, I mean, sometimes later on you find out that a fighter, had something happen. Did you come away with any kind of injuries? I'm just curious.
No, I'm a little bit sore. My hand's sore. My body's just a little bit achy, but I'll be training again probably beginning of next week. No problems at all. So I'm fine. Just let the body heal normally. Have a little bit of rest. Make sure the weight doesn't go out of control, and then hopefully I'll get a match up for New Zealand.
Okay. Because we're gonna go for this next. Well, that's what you're looking at. Sorry. Because the UFC. I know. Well, you ruined my plans, but that's okay because. I think you ruin a lot of people's plans, Dan, in a positive way when they pick against you. So that's fine. We've never picked against. We're not picking against you here, though, because UFC in New Zealand, that's going to be in June. It should be a good card. Unfortunately, no Aussie cards until possibly the end of the year. So that's sort of the closest one that's happening. So you're sort of happy to go over to New Zealand and do that one, or would you be open to possibly going back overseas now that you're a huge celebrity over there and getting another fight?
No, I want to fight in New Zealand. Closer to home. The deal was with the kids that no one goes to Vegas because we went away at Christmas. If I win and get onto the New Zealand card, then we'll go and do the whole Hobbit Village thing in New Zealand after I fight. So I've kept up my end of the bargain. Just got to wait and hope that I get a match up in New Zealand.
Very nice, very nice. And you've got New Zealand around the winter time. It's beautiful. You've got a lot of snow, a lot of good fun things to do. But let's say you do go to New Zealand. I mean, we like to play matchmaker from time to time when it comes to you. And it's hard to figure out who or what should be next. But a big name seems, like it's well-deserved. And you mentioned before that, you're happy to fight someone, or you want someone in the top 15. You mentioned after the fight that you think you could take someone in the top 10. Is there anyone who's on the Dad's Army radar at the moment? And just curious, will you be keeping a close eye on Vitor Belfort this coming weekend?
Oh, yeah, Vitor would be awesome. Look, outside of the top 6, so outside of, now we've got GSP, who's thrown a spanner in the... Not a spanner. He's made the title picture a little bit more interesting. So you got Bisping, GSP, Yoel Romero, Luke Rockhold, Jacare, Rob Whittaker, Musasi. They're all fighting for the title thing at the moment. Anyone down from that, I'd be more than happy to fight.
All right. Well, Anderson Silva versus Dan Kelly it is in New Zealand. I can't wait, Dan. We'll see you up there.
that'd be an awesome matchup as well. That'd be an awesome matchup. So we'll see.
Is there one that you would prefer? Let's say the matchmakers say, all right, Dan, we love you. We're going to give you whatever you want. They say there's Vitor, there's Anderson. Is there one that sort of stands out for you more? Obviously, you know, they're both legends of the sport. Anyone that you like more?
Well, Anderson Silva's everyone's dream to fight him, isn't it? So, I mean, outside of you know everyone going they want to fight Conor McGregor, but Anderson Silva would be awesome. I mean, another former champion, same as Vitor, but Anderson would be really cool. But the thing is, we'll see what they offer me in the next week or so, and yeah, as long as it's a ranked guy, I don't really mind.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've been working on some new nicknames for you, Dan, and the new one that I think should be used for the next fight is Dan Kelly, the Legend Killer. And I feel like Anderson Silva would be another great name on that list. Very excited to see what happens with you next. Very, very happy at the big win. Enjoy it. Keep in touch with us. Let us know when the next pizza and beer night is going to happen. And yeah, keep us in the loop because we're excited for UFC New Zealand. Before we wrap it up, I mean, we've got a lot of Aussie listeners right now who are super pumped at your win. A lot of New Zealand fans who are super pumped at you possibly fighting down there. What's your message to them? What's your message from Dan Kelly after this huge moment in your career?
Oh, well, thank you very much for the support. And obviously, Australian MMA is growing. It's growing and we're getting stronger and stronger. And just keep jumping on board and support our local UFC guys. So when the big card comes down to New Zealand, make sure you buy tickets and watch it and get behind it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of great guys to obviously support nowadays in the UFC from Australia. And you guys can do your part in supporting by heading down to Dan Kelly's great gym in Footscray Resilience Training Centre to train with the best. And you can obviously follow Dan on Twitter at Dan Kelly Judo. Dan, it's always a pleasure chatting with you. We can't wait to see what's next. Thanks so much for your time today.
My pleasure. It's always good to talk to you guys. Thank you very much.